read between the lines when they getting out of place. Help me run this marathon, help me run to keep my pace. Holy Father, please forgive me, cause you know I make mistakes. Help me when I feel condemned, help me know that's not the case. Lord, I need you.
What's good, y'all? Welcome to the Substitute Preacher Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Johnson, aka the Substitute Preacher. A little bit of a transition here in several aspects. For one, it's a new series, so I'm excited to announce that and literally kick it off this episode. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But also, I'm just so excited. If you're new to the show, I'm a substitute teacher, hence the name, Substitute Preacher. A little play on words. I'm also a Christian. That's where the preacher part comes from. But literally, today was my last day of school, so I'm done. Summer off. Now, I still have to work, because I'm not a full-time teacher, but I get a nice little break. So that being said, I'm still going to work. I'm going to grind and try and make money to support my family, but I will have a lot more time. I've taken coaching off this season, so I'll still be involved with the program and training a lot of the kids, especially the linebackers, but I'll have just a lot more time myself, a lot of time to put a lot of effort and focus into this, and I'm bringing heat. So the plan is to release an episode weekly. That's one of my goals for this summer, is to be pretty consistent for that. Now I'm going on a vacation. I'm going to Hawaii in just a few weeks, so I'm already, you feel me, getting ready for it. But that, and then with other, just life. With life going on, there may be a week here or a week there where I don't put out a video, but I'm going to do my best. For sure on Instagram, I'm going to be trying to pump out the reels at least a few a week. So that's the plan. I'm really excited about it. Again, for anyone who is new to the channel, I have a background in sports, played Division I college football at the University of Rutgers, Big Ten football, so a lot of experience there. I coach now, I do athletic training, but then also just in my professional life, I've worked a lot of different jobs, really cool jobs. I've worked with just from the corporate side to now I'm in education and everything in between. So a lot of knowledge on that front, and my goal is to just pour out my knowledge and my experiences and hopefully just inspire and offer advice to those who need it, especially the youth and the young adults who's just maybe trying to figure things out. I'm on the tail end of young adulthood. I'm about to be 30 next year. So I got a lot of knowledge and a lot of things to offer. So thank you for checking out the channel. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And I appreciate the support. I actually just hit 100 subscribers. So that means a lot to me. In the process of making this channel, I was like, man, of course, I want to be able to grow the page and host some incredible guests, and all that is great, but the priority, the main reason I do this, my motivation is to glorify God. And so those 100 people who subscribe, and hopefully more in the coming days and weeks, months, but man, that's what I do it for. And if you're searching, if you don't know your Creator, and want to know more, hopefully you can discover Him through this channel. But there is a God, and He does love you, and He has a plan and purpose for your life. So with that being said, so the last series ended a little bit abruptly, unannounced. I had a couple guests that, man, we just, our interviews fell through for whatever reason, schedules, and these are busy people, both of which got blue checks verified. So they're important. I won't tell you too much about them because eventually I will get them on the show, I promise you. But one thing about the grind is it doesn't stop. So even in this new series that I'm starting today and just, a year down the road, the grind is going to be one of the foundations of this show. So when I do have them on, I'll refer back to the grind, but what they do, it'd be perfect for this series too. So hopefully I could get them on soon. But no time to wait. This new series, it actually relates to the grind quite a bit. And it's called Get to Work. Now the reasoning behind it, I wanted to kind of keep it going with this school theme. And again, tonight, most schools are probably done by now or finishing up. The school I've been teaching at, they graduate today. Today was the last day. So what's next? That's what a lot of seniors are going to be wondering. Even college seniors or college graduates. Yeah, maybe you have some idea or you have some plans, some goals. That's great. But a lot of you, and I was in this boat myself, have no clue. And that can be a little bit intimidating. Not really having an idea. It's like, oh man, like once you become an adult, is just go time, and your support system just begins to shrink. And hopefully, yeah, you have your parents or close friends on the journey with you, and they're by your side, but you less and less resources it seems like you're gonna have to help develop you and help you maybe hold your hand a little bit throughout this journey. It's just you. And so, as scary as that can be, I just want to be a resource and someone who I've worked several jobs. I've been in different industries, and so I want to be able to just shed some light on what you can expect, how to come up with a plan to just be efficient and get out there and interview, or obviously with your school, just becoming a good college student and working while in college. So these are things I have a lot of experience with, and I just can't wait to talk about. It won't be on my own though. That's what's really cool. I think my best episodes and my most watched episodes are when I have guests. And I know a lot of really cool people. I've had several on with blue checks. Motivational speaker / rapper and SBG. Shout out to him. Damon Hayes, a great college football player, my brother. Now he's in the film industry, writing and looking to direct films. My boy Dylan wrote 3 books. And then most recently, Gabe Flores Jr., the Stockton King, boxer, professional boxer. So I've had some great, incredible guests, and a lot of these people I know personally, or I've maybe reached out and met, but I know some really cool people. So I can't wait to expose you guys to them and their industries, and they're going to talk about what they do. And so it's going to be a good time. One way I really want to enhance this channel is by making it more interactive. And so please comment, and especially on Instagram, but even under this video, if you have an idea like, oh, I want to learn about this industry, or oh, I'm torn, I want to study psychology, but I kind of want to major in kinesiology. Comment underneath, and I'll do my best to get some of these people, some of these professionals on the show, or even if it's just a little clip I could get with them, a little snippet, and I'll post and just to give you more perspective and help you gain knowledge on your future, because really that's what this is about, your future. And each decision you make is going to impact your future. So if I could come up with the best decision possible, the wisest decision, that's what's going to really set me up for success. So it's going to be a good time. One thing I want to do more often as well, just with a little bit of extra time, is talk more current events and sports. These are things, again, I'm part of the culture. I'm not an old head yet, so I'm still all up in it. I'm working with the kids, and this is stuff they're talking about every day. So I want to just be able to have discussions more often and kind of give my input and my opinion. Of course, I'm not perfect. I'm not always going to be right, but it's fun to talk about and dissect. And I think that'll make it more interactive as well. So with that being said, I really wanted to talk about just my experience and my career. So I'm just going to kind of break down whatever job I was in, my current state of mind, some of my goals while I was in the job, things I learned and experienced, pros and cons of whether it's the position or that industry. Hopefully I can give you guys some tricks and some tips that will benefit you in your professional career. Maybe you're not doing college, or maybe you're going to take a break. Totally fine. You got to find work, get to work. Or maybe you're in college already, but you need to find a job, a part-time job to kind of help you pay off your student loans. Or maybe you just graduated college and it's time to really find something that's going to shape up your career. I've seen it's a pretty common stat, or at least it's brought up often. I don't know if this number, how accurate it is, but I've seen it in several spots. So we'll just go with it. But about 12 and a half times in people's lifetimes, they change jobs. So that means you'll probably have 13, 14 jobs in your whole life. So if you're 16, 17 to 22, 23, just starting your first job, chances are you're not going to be there forever. And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's normal. The statistics say it. So just keep that in mind as you take on this job searching approach and try and find what you're looking for. Obviously, there's multiple factors that go into looking for a job. Maybe it's just something to kind of get you by. Maybe you have a long-term goal or plan or type of career in mind, and you just need something to get by or something during school. And so in that case, you may not be so picky. If you are looking to get into a career, then you should, one, make sure that career is actually for you. And I'll talk about that more, how it related to me. But also, in terms of the job, just, is it a fit? The scheduling, the pay is obviously one of the most important things. Benefits. Is it close to home? Is it a lot of hours? And depending on what point you are in your life, some of those things may be priority over others, but you got to make it work for you. One thing I've noticed, because I look for jobs all the time. As a sub, it's not really the long-term thing for me. And plus, especially in the summer, like I look for summer part-time work. I do personal training and athletic training, and I'm going to have to be at a high volume of that this summer because I'm not working another job with it. So I got to try and make more income doing that. But the past couple years, I have to look for work during the summer and find something that's going to benefit me. Maybe it's seasonal work or something part-time like I mentioned, but I bring this up because I look on Indeed or Glassdoor, these job board sites. Guys, the pay is crazy because the qualifications, it's like they're going up, but the pay ain't really moving. And so, like, for example, I have a bachelor's degree. I seen a job maybe a week or two ago. I was telling my wife, they was paying like 19, 20 bucks an hour. And I'm in California where the pay is a little higher because cost of living is higher. They was paying like 19, 20 bucks. And in the requirements, it said that you need a bachelor. And I was mind blown. And so that's something to keep in mind too for anyone on the fence about going to school or not. Now, of course, there's some industries or careers where you can blow up and your earning potential is through the roof, even without that degree, that piece of paper. And I respect it. If you know what you're going to do in that sense and you're going to go after it, cool. But if you don't really have an idea and you just think you're just going to walk into a place and demand the 100,000, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need that degree. So just something to keep in mind as well. However, I think one of the cool things, and this is something I'm trying to really instill in my daughter, is the competition and the talent pool out there. I feel like that's deteriorating. And the reason I say that is in schools, they're having a lower standards. Kids aren't succeeding quite as well. Whereas before, it was a higher success rate amongst students in high school and then transitioning to college. Now it's so many kids just being knuckleheads, and that gives you the opportunity. That gives my daughter Leia the opportunity to rise above, to be the cream of the crop. And now it's like, all right, no one else is grinding. No one else is out here getting it, putting in the work like me. I'm going to put in the work, and then I'm really going to benefit. I'm really going to make the money and make the earnings. I seen this on the news. They was talking about how fast food companies are raising their pay. They're also raising the prices of food. So Chipotle better slow down. Because I like me some guac, and they just taxing. But anyways, they're also paying their employees higher. So with that being said, my first job, I worked at In-N-Out Burger. Best burger chain by far out there. There ain't nothing better. If you're on the East Coast, come through. You gotta order it correctly though. And how do I know? Because I used to work there. Like you gotta play with the menu a little bit. There's the secret menu. The menu is really basic, but you gotta really cater it to what you like and some of the flavors. Fun fact, I always hated onions as a kid, as a young adult. But In-N-Out's grilled onions just they turn me. Now I like onions. They usually gotta be cooked, but man, them things is fire. So get grilled onions when you get your. That's rule number one. But anyways, In-N-Out, great first job. I may have shared this before. I was going to JUCO at City College, playing football. It was the grind. I also worked. I wanted to make some money, save up a little bit. I want to be able to pay for my own stuff. One of my future guests, she works at In-N-Out now, so I'll let her get more into details and specifics. But In-N-Out was really cool to work for. Even just starting with the hiring process, they're looking for young people and associates who are friendly. And one thing they used to promote is smiling. Like if you was out on the floor and not smiling, they would call you out on it. And I remember, like, sometimes it'll get chaotic and hectic. It was very fast paced work environment, but they would say, "Hey, calm down, smile, put a smile on your face." And it's true. Like I go to fast food restaurants now and they don't smile, or even just restaurants in general, and they're not as friendly. And I think that's what separates In-N-Out. That's why with such a simple menu and only a few items, they don't have bacon, they don't have chicken sandwiches. It's just burgers and fries and milkshakes. But they've stood the test of time because they're so friendly. They smile. They have an energy about them that people want to be in that environment. So lesson learned from there. Whatever your job, come with enthusiasm, especially if it's customer service related. Like you have to smile. You have to, even if you're not feeling it, you got to kind of put on that mask and just say, okay, I'm going to be positive. Let me smile. Let me make someone's day. And that attitude, it spreads. And next thing you know, your coworkers are happy too. They're smiling too. They're positive. And it just creates a better workspace. Again, In-N-Out was very fast paced. It went by levels. So level 1, you're just cleaning the dining hall. Level 2, you're on the cash register. Level 3, fries. And so I only got to level 3. I was one of the few, and they used to get mad at me. I remember some of the older ones. Like, they was all cool. They liked me. I was the young one. I was kind of cool. But some of them are looking to make a career out of that. And little secret, at least when I was there, it's probably even more now, but head managers over, if you're managing an In-N-Out, it's 100 racks, 100K a year salary in fast food. So keep that in mind. But if you work your way up levels, you can potentially get to that point. And so you had people grinding and busting their butts. But me, I'm coming from practice. I'm tired. I was just chill, laid back. And I was just trying to get through the night, just sweep up and clean. I was cool doing, like, my work ethic was real. But in terms of trying to progress within the company, I wasn't. Like, I was just cool making fries. Now, with each level, you get a pay bump. So that's nice. But I wasn't tripping too much on the pay because I didn't have to pay rent, pay for my car. I was just trying to make a little extra money for college. So keep that in mind too. Moving on, I've talked about this before. So I did earn my scholarship. Rutgers offered me. Bam, went there. I didn't have to work at Rutgers because I was on scholarship. So it was getting paid for. So athletes, getting a scholarship is so worth it. It's hard. It's hard work to get it. It's hard work to earn it. It's hard work to keep it. But man, is it worth it? Absolutely. So if you're on that path, if you're on that track, don't give up. Keep grinding and keep that goal in mind, because once you get it, no school. Like once I graduated and started my next job, I'll talk about shortly. Everyone would always complain, "Oh, I'm paying off these loans." I didn't have no loans. I was able to just go out and get a car right after college because I didn't really have nothing I had to pay for, no debt. So that was huge. Food was all paid for. They paid us a little something for housing, but then rent was cheap. We found a cool, easy little spot, so we was just pocketing the money, and they gave us our nice little checks. Now in college, they're really paying them. So if that's in your vision, make it happen, for real. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. All right, so I'll try and make this quick. My wife is on the way, but I graduate labor relations. That's a kind of funny story too. So I wanted to be a comm major. Football was my only option, and that was all I really cared about. So I didn't really care about majoring. In my head, it was like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the league. Get rid of that mindset, because anything can happen. Even if you do have the talent, injuries, you never know. I promise you. So just always have a backup plan. That don't even have to be your mindset. If you have that, just I'm making it mindset. Cool, that's fine, but still have a backup plan. I didn't have one, and so I wanted to be a comm major, and I messed up. I was doing junior college. My grades were pretty good, but I got a D in my science class, and it was one of the requirements. And so I let it slip. Got the offer to Rutgers, and I'm like, oh, great, cool. And they said, oh, your grades are cool, but then they came back and they hit me with the, hey, what's up with this D in your science? It was oceanography. I hate science. I hated that class. And I was like, oh, shoot, like, do I have to retake it? What's the deal? And they was like, look, if you want to come in the spring, which I did, I was ready to go in January. They said, if you want to be a comm major, basically you got to take the class over again. You got to get a C or above, because that's a requirement. You can't get a D. And I'm like, dang. And so I actually talked to the teacher. I was like, look, I have a scholarship they're offering me. Like, can you just make it a C, or is there any extra credit? Guys, when you're doing that with the teacher, it's too late. So I had no one to blame but me. She said no. I couldn't be mad at her. And so they said, though, they was like, all right, well, retake it, come in the summer. They said, or we have less applicants for labor relations. You could take this and they'll accept the D. They'll come in January and you just got to take another science class. Count me in. That's what I told them. I said, hey, I'm there. I'm trying to come right now. Give me the playbook. So that's the route I took. Little did I know what labor relations was or anything. So guys, research. Think about your major. It is important. And when you have a major and you're trying to get a job in that field, it's so much easier. Versus when you don't, you have a limited opportunity to be able to get in it. So labor relations, fast forward 2.5 years, I graduate. I had a teacher in a career management class. Really cool teacher, really invested in the students. And so he would bring professionals in to talk with the class, and he would discuss different majors and different jobs you could potentially get from them. And a lot of us were labor relations majors. And he had a recruiter come and talk to the class, and she's discussing her company, and I'm feeling it. I'm like, hey, this is kind of cool. Well, after class, he comes over and talks to me. He was like, hey, so Isaiah, what'd you think? And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I think it fits me. And he was like, they tend to really like athletes. I think you'd be a good fit. And so he said, hey, I could give you her number. I was like, yeah, let me get her info. So he sent it. I hit her up. And granted, I forgot to mention this, I didn't make the league, obviously. So probably about midway through my senior season, I wasn't really playing at all. I had finally kind of earned the coaches' respect, and we had a new staff, and so they wasn't feeling me at first. But I earned some special teams play, but by the end, close to the end of the season, I'm like, all right, well, I don't really have a shot. I'm not playing enough. So the league dreams were dead. So I knew I had to find something to make money. I had to find it fast. I didn't have a job in mind that fit with my major. So again, back to the recruiting. So if you don't know what a recruiter is, like, yes, there's Army recruiters. There's recruiters for sports, for colleges. In the recruiting world, it's under the umbrella of what's called staffing. What is staffing? Staffing is hiring people, hiring different workers. Usually it's an HR thing. For example, in the company, it's called Aerotech. So Aerotech, they work with other companies, big companies. We worked with Tesla and Amazon, Best Buy, Kaiser, all these different jobs, all these different industries they don't have the time to put in to invest in hiring people. So what they do is get a third party. They get an agency or a firm like Aerotech and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. They go over all the requirements, the expectations, and then it's Aerotech's job to go out and search for these people. And they make a lot of money doing it. So fast forward, I get through the recruiting process, and it's a whole bunch of calls, a few phone screens, and then a couple interviews. I graduate from Jersey, and it's a nationwide company, so they had one right in Alameda, right near me in the Bay. So graduate, moved back to the Bay, living with my parents. Didn't want to live with my parents, so I'm like, I need a job ASAP. And that was real. I put all my eggs in the one basket, just like I did for trying to make the NFL. Well, I had no backup plan. This was the only job I was interested in. And so, real quick story, I got through all the interview process. I'm on the last one. And I interviewed with the director. Really great guy. I thought the interview was good, but not my best. And so I walked away like, I could have said this better, could have did that better. And sure enough, I get the email back from him, and I'm reading it. Isaiah, thank you so much for coming to meet with me. And then I get to the next line, unfortunately, and I'm like, oh no. Unfortunately, we're not going to move forward with your application. I'm like, dang, like what happened? Here's what I did. And I've tried this 2 times after it. It didn't work. So it's not 100%, but this just goes back to being a good person. You always... I'm going to talk about this more when I talk about interviewing. You always want to leave the employer with a thank you note, with just a token of appreciation or gratitude, an email. That stuff really does go a long way. It's a testament to your character. And so what I did, I emailed him, and it was sincere because I really wanted that job. And I said, sir, I respect your decision. Unfortunately, I think the reason he gave was that, my experience, he didn't think I had enough, and I was right. I didn't really have experience at all. I was just coming from school. So I highlighted my college football experience and being a student athlete. And so I told him, look, I respect your decision. I understand, but I was really excited to work for your company. Do you have any advice for me moving forward? And do you guys have any internships or any programs where maybe down the road after I get some experience, I could get my foot in the door? And that was it. And I thanked him again. Thank you so much for your time. Well, he hit me back. I think it was maybe the next day or a couple days later. Emailed me back. All he said was, Isaiah, thanks for your email. I think I might have something for you. Well, he invited me in for a shadow day, and I got to meet the workers, and that was kind of the last phase. And then I met my future manager, and they hired me. So it was really cool. Like I said, it's not always going to work. The other 2 times I did it after interviewing, I was just desperate. I just said, oh, let me just try this. It wasn't sincere like this time. So I think he sensed that and was like, man, he really does want to work for this company. He really sees a fit. He really sees the potential. And he really thinks he could help them. So just a word of advice there. Always follow up, thank you email, even a handwritten thank you note. Those things really do go a long way. So I'm at Aerotech. I was there for about 1.5 years. Real quick, I listed some pros and cons for this job and then the next few. The pros, the money. So this isn't counting commission. We called it spread. And basically, the more people you get hired, the more money you make. So it was really nice. The base salary was $70,000 right out of college. $70,000. It was most places it was $50,000, but then for living in the Bay Area, it was a $20,000 cost of living bonus, if you would, or they kind of tacked that on. So 70 G's. First job. That was for sure one of the pros, and it took me a minute, but once I learned everything, I hit the ground running, and I was really good at it. I think I mentioned this in one of the grind episodes. My work ethic was just, from football and everything before, it was just better than everyone else. And so I didn't mind the long days, the long hours. I was crafty, and I was clever. Like I found out tricks and ways to find new people and kind of grow my own mini business, if you would, but my work ethic, that's really what separated me. So Other pros, just opportunities for growth within the company. So you could become a recruiting manager. You can move into sales. That's where the big bucks really came from. And then even from there, you could be a regional manager, a director. So much opportunities within the company. I think one of the other ones was just the environment. Everyone wanted to make money. Everyone was kind of on the same page in that sense. So there was a little bit of competitiveness in the office. There was high energy in the office because you needed it. Think Wolf of Wall Street, but without all the drugs and stuff, at least for me. But high energy, a lot of fun. Some of the cons, I think money was a pro, but it was also a con. People had agendas, and like in business and the corporate world in general, like there's backstabbers. There's people that really don't care about nobody else. They act like it. They kind of put on a front, but they're just in it for themselves and to make money. So that I wasn't really feeling. The other thing, having to rely on others. I could be having a good month, but my team is down. And so it's like, man, like now we're all looking kind of bad. I think the other thing, and the thing that really kind of pushed me out of that job, and this was a job I thought it'd be my career. I thought I'd do it forever. It really appealed to me from that first presentation the girl did in my class all the way to getting the job and a few months in and then making money. But I think towards the end of it, like, you need a little luck, and sometimes you get bad luck. And so I had guys dropping off, women dropping off. People weren't as reliable. And so having to rely on other people and you're getting them these jobs, especially for me, I was doing warehouse distribution jobs, manufacturing, a lot of lower level jobs too though. General labor, minimum wage jobs. And those type of workers don't have great work ethics. They walk off jobs and don't know how to be a professional. And so dealing with those people and having to rely on them to make money, it got tough. And so towards the end of it, people are dropping off. But what I didn't appreciate from the company was it wasn't like, oh, Isaiah's still a great worker, he's just having a rough season. They kind of looked at it as, oh, Isaiah's just not that good. When that wasn't the case. So I scratched and clawed, and I was kind of working it back up, but eventually I would just wanted to leave. Like I said, a lot of hours, so depending on if you don't mind that or not. My wife and I, we had just gotten pregnant too around the time I was leaving. So that was another reason I was like, man, I have no problem putting in the time, but with me starting a family, it's going to be a lot tougher to work 10, 12-hour days consistently and make it home for my pregnant wife and my eventual daughter. So I left. I didn't know what I wanted. I even entertained like trying to play football again, arena football or something. And so I'm training. I took some time off. Another quick word of advice: never leave a job without having another job in the bag. And so I did that, not knowing in my future interviews they would hear that and really look down on it. So I had interviewers ask me that question, oh, are you working now? And I said, oh, no, I left my job and taking time for my pregnant wife. Now, I did think I had a plan. I didn't think it would be as long as it was, but I thought, okay, like, I got some money saved up. I'll take a month and a half off. I'll be fine. But that wasn't the case at all. So I was out of work for a minute. It was all God just providing and keeping everything intact, especially right around baby time. But I end up just jumping to sales. I was like, man, this ain't working. Like, I gotta work for my wife. Jumped into sales for an alarm company. This was a family-owned company, which has its pros. Everyone works together, cohesive environment, everyone's friendly. So that was cool. A lot of companies trust a family-owned company, and so there's a little bit higher of a chance they'll work with you. So you may not get as much business. The bigger companies have all these sales going on, and so they don't really have time for you. That's one thing we used to bring up a lot. So the relationship aspect was a cool part of it. Some of the cons, though, was just the opposite. We don't get as much business, so it's a little bit harder. We have to make our cost a little bit more expensive, so that was a little bit tougher. But just in terms of sales, you got to be thick-skinned. You really got to grind, and it could be very profitable, and you can make a whole lot of money, but you got to put in the work. You got to do extra. You got to think outside the box to earn a lot of business. And so I enjoyed it to an extent, but we ended up moving out this way to the valley, so the drive, it just wasn't worth it. And I went into it not even really wanting it in the first place, so I knew, okay, this is just a stop. My next job, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. So in the process of working there, one of my boys, he was doing personal training, and so he's kind of filling me in about it, telling me how he likes it. And so I said, you know what, I think I could do this. I think it sounds like it'll be fun. And so I ended up getting certified. So I'm still trying to make these sales, make that commission. I'm hustling. I'm doing these long drives, but I had a plan. So got certified. I get a job at InShape. InShape's more of a chain. It's a bigger gym out where I live. And the GM, he interviewed me, and we're still friends to this day. Sean Elder, shout out Sean. But he interviewed me, and he told me the pay, and it was like dang near minimum wage, maybe $1 or $2 more. And he's like, hey, but nah, like you could do sales, you'll make this commission. I'll give you all the leads. And so he's really trying to sell me on. He was excited that I played Division I football and was planning on training. He's like, you can't train without the cert, but I'll get you in sales, and then you could train, you'll make even more money. And so he made it sound good, and it was. I had a great time working there. Ended up becoming one of the assistant managers. I did sales there, which was easy. It was cool. How many people come to a gym every day trying to, I'm trying to get in shape. So the people were coming, and I was getting sales, and then assistant manager made a buck or two extra. But I was really looking forward to training. So I finally get my cert. COVID hits. So I never got to do personal training out of that gym. The gym shut down. Couple of quick pros about working at a gym. One, you get to work out there for free, so that was cool. I got to stay in shape, but chill, laid back, fun environment. You meet a lot of people who are driven, goal oriented, and you could kind of feel like you're making a difference. I've met all types of different people. There's elderly people coming to the gym, there's young people. So working for that gym chain, it was pretty cool. I still go to that gym till this day. Some of the cons, obviously, like I mentioned, the pay isn't really great. It's kind of a placeholder for some, unless you're trying to advance with the company. Like with InShape, my GM, he was trying to get me like, hey, you should be a general manager. A lot of room for growth, and that's true. Like if it's a bigger gym train, 24-hour fitness or InShape or some of these other ones, there is opportunities, but you gotta hustle and prove your work ethic. That's why he even considered me for that type of career path, was because he's seen how I worked. So you got to be able to back it up. But like I said, it could be a process. You got to put in your time, and when you're putting in your time, don't expect to make much money. This wasn't a con for me, but I know it will be for a lot of people out there. You got to do the dirty work. So you got to clean the machines, clean the bathrooms. Like there's only a few people working at the gym at a time, and they're kind of hustling, doing everything. So got to keep that in mind too. During COVID, there was only one gym in the area open. It was a small family-owned gym. It's called the Gym Tracy. Keith was the owner, and he was my manager there. Really great guy. I worked there for a while. I have one of my other future guests. He's a co-owner of a gym, so he's going to really get into detail about what that type of work consists of. But for me, I'll say this. As a trainer, and this goes back to being a small business or a family-owned business, there's only so many people they could pay for to work. So it's not like you have the luxury of hiring all these people and everyone being able to cover all these different jobs. Very few people have a lot of different tasks. So for me, I was basically like the next dude. It was the owner, Keith, and then it was me. I did have a partner. My guy Weston, he was the other trainer, so it was really us. But he ended up leaving for school and everything, and so it was us three for a while, and we're doing everything. So we had to clean the bathrooms, and then we're training. It was just a lot of running around. Now again, it was a small gym, so it wasn't like we had too much to cover, but definitely something to keep in mind. I think the biggest thing I learned there was how valuable I am. you got to know your worth and know your value. What I mean by that, I helped the gym grow tremendously. And I'm doing social media, I'm putting out posts, I'm making videos, and I'm the head trainer at one point, running all these classes, doing one-on-one PT. I'm trying to promote myself as well as the gym on social media and through referrals, and so I'm just spinning my wheels trying to do everything. There was one point where I was literally opening the gym for early morning classes. I would do a couple sessions, take a lunch, a little extended lunch. Sometimes I'd go home or I'd just kind of kill some time. But I'd come back and have to do the evening classes, and then I'm closing. And so there's no shot at the owner, but the owner kind of has the luxury of being a little less hands-on. So he can kind of direct more of the work towards me, and I'm running around doing everything. And I think eventually I realized as a trainer, and if you're looking at getting into personal training, if you're going to do all that type of work, you might as well just own your own gym. I've done a little bit of research, and I know it would be a lot, and I eventually kind of drifted away from that. I got into teaching, but by the end of it, looking back, I kind of thought like, man, if I would have just invested and found a spot, leased some property, and started some classes, all the work I was doing for him so he could make money and he could give me a little something, I could have been doing for me and making a lot of money. Now again, in order to really be successful, you got to put in a lot of work. So keep that in mind too. That's why I don't do it now. I'm not ready to open a gym because I know I'll have to be there 12, 14 hours and away from my family, and it's a lot of work. Doesn't mean I can't do it. Doesn't mean maybe in the future, you never know, but it's really a grind. And then to get to the point where you can hire other trainers, like it's a lot. So that was a lot of fun, just working with that community in Tracy and working with other businesses and just hustling. But in the process, I met a lot of cool people, made a lot of good friends. But eventually, actually, that's how I found my next gig as a substitute teacher. A couple of the ladies that were in my boot camp class, they thought highly of me, and they worked for the school as librarians and other jobs in the district. And they said, hey, Isaiah, like, we need teachers. Really, all you need is a bachelor's degree, and they'll hire you. And so I looked into it, subbing, it pays okay, and yeah, the need is there. And so I said, let me do this. So I applied. It's a process, but I was able to get in pretty quick for the Tracy School District and never looked back. Now I'm found my way to Stockton, and it's a lot of fun. One of the other common themes throughout this series will be who you know and leaving a good impression. And that's one thing I've learned. Just being a good person holds so much merit because you never know who you're going to meet that's going to provide the next opportunity for you. And like I said, a couple of the ladies in my class, they had suggested this opportunity. One of the ladies I trained one-on-one, she happened to be a principal for another school in the district. And it's like, there's my ticket there. So she wrote me a recommendation letter. I asked her, and that was it. That's all they needed to see. And I was golden. So she got me in there. So just being a good person, it really goes a long way. Yeah, now I'm substitute teaching, I'm substitute preaching, and it's a lot of fun. Obviously for this, you have to have a heart for kids. You have to have patience. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Couple perks for working for the school. One, the breaks. You get winter break. We have a fall break, so that's another week off. Spring break, summer break, which I'm about to get now. So a lot of time off, which is cool. That also could be a negative for subs like me because I don't get paid during those times. Like a normal teacher can set it up where they can get paid throughout the summer and they don't really have to work. I have to find work. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. Other positives though, the schedule's not too bad. So we go from like 8:30 to basically 3:30. So really it's 7 hours. Most jobs are 8 hours. And then plus a lunch, we get a 30-minute lunch. So that's cool. Coaching opportunities and being able to get my foot in that door has been great. And just being able to give back as a whole. I think one of the things that's, I'm not ready to leave just yet, but one thing that that I kind of get bored of is just how mundane the job is. And so the schedule's always the same, and there's not as much creativity, and obviously there's so many rules and the curriculum as a teacher within the school system. It's hard to just kind of do your own thing, and for good reason, of course. But I'm someone who likes to create. Obviously, I have this show. I like to do things kind of my own way, put my own little twist on things, and think outside of the box. But you can't always do that. You're messing with kids' education in that sense. So those are my jobs. We'll see what's next. I've applied to a couple different spots, and this is more long term. I'm not talking about for the summer, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. I won't say nothing now, but I'm excited about them, and we'll see what God has in store. But another thing I've learned is that through all these jobs, I don't want to work for someone else. I think in each job, I felt like, not like I'm better than the boss or my manager, but I felt like I had some of those same skills. And I learned a lot from all those guys. So shout out to all my previous managers, Wes at Aerotech, Gabe at In-N-Out, Steve at SSD, and then I mentioned Sean, I mentioned Keith. These are some of the greatest guys and mentors I had in my life. And so I learned a lot from them. But all that being said, I felt like I had that potential myself. And so I think eventually I want to get to a point where I'm not really working for somebody else. Whether it's me starting a business or, again, creating with something like this. Run it up, yo. This will be my job. Nah, I'm just playing. Kind of. But yeah, I just want to get to a point where I can use my skills and my experiences to pass on and to put others in a position to lead. But I feel like I could lead myself, and I could be that voice and be in that position that makes the decision. I dang near lost my voice. But that's my work history so far. Again, I'll leave you with this. The standards and requirements for jobs and for careers are increasing. However, the competition, I feel like, is decreasing. So if you just do what you got to do, if you can separate yourself, you can put yourself in a position to be your own boss or to make a lot of money, to have a prominent career. Keep that in mind. Next episode of this series, Get to Work. I'm talking resumes, I'm talking cover letters, I'm talking references. How do you create these things? What type of things do you want to focus on? It's going to be a great show. And again, this series is going to be a lot of fun. It's going all throughout the summer. People from all different industries, all different types of jobs. Again, go to the comment section now. Comment what type of industry you want to see, what type of job, position. If you know someone who might want to be on the show, they ain't got to be local. We could do it virtually, and I'll get them on the show, and we could talk about it. We could chop it up. But I want as much perspective and introspect as possible. If you're new to the channel, I close every episode with a prayer. So I'll leave y'all with that, and cheers to summertime. All right, Father God, I thank you so much for this time, for this outlet that you've given me to just hopefully instill wisdom and provide advice to this younger generation, God. Thank you so much especially for kids going to school and college students, that we have this intermission, this break time during the summer to just recoup and reset, make it a time of peace, keep us all safe out there, God, and just help people to really find themselves, their identity. I pray for dreams, Lord God, to start being revealed and doors to open, Lord. That you would open so many doors for these kids getting into schools, getting into jobs and careers. That you have a plan and a purpose for all of them. Help them to find you, to trust you. Give us faith, God, as we may wait for you. Give us understanding that if one door closes, that you have another